I'd like to go to a theme that has run through some of the other questions that we received from our viewers, and it has to do a lot with the idea that we have to get new employees to break them out of their comfort zone. And it appears to me as if we feel the new people we're hiring have this border comfort zone that's harder to get them out of than perhaps older generations. So I don't know if that's true or not. And I'm not sure why we harp on that so much. Is it because they're going to be hired into one company, but then have to work with external people that they're not comfortable? Vin, do you find that? Yeah, go ahead, Lorna. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you find a lot of times is there's two times when it's important to retain people, and that's after you've brought them on board, and then later around that 3-year mark, people make a decision whether to mentally stay or start to look away from the organization. And sometimes that can even occur earlier with the new generation of employees. But it's so important to be able to retain someone that you've worked so hard to attract to your organization and to tell them about your story. And so that's why I think for us, we have these onboarding buddies, so that you find that if someone knows someone in your organization, they will tend to stay. So we have a very strong internal referral program, and we probably get about 20% of our employees through our internal referral program, and rewarding people for those referrals. But then if you don't know someone as you start with an organization, you need to have a buddy, someone who can answer those questions for you about, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? That maybe your manager isn't around at that moment. Or if you're new to an organization, how do you feel like you fit into the organization? And so that's why that internal, that buddy is so important. And we find that tends to glue someone more into the organization than if you just come on board, you don't know anyone, you don't know who to ask. And particularly with much of the organization working a more extended period of time in order to have safer environments. And also you have more people who are working virtually. You need to have that social connection. So for us, that's very important in terms of retention. Barry, I don't know if you have a similar program or something special that you do for your organization.
Yes, no, it's a good question. So we haven't done the buddy thing yet, although we probably should. So I've made a note around that. But I do think just that level of connection has been really helpful. Really, it's kind of been HR has sort of been the buddy, if informally in our organization. So, and again, we've seen some really good success, with that. Our referral program is actually really good. We get probably a little better than 20% of our hires through our employee referral program. We do every now and then remind people about it. We're in a big hiring blitz right now, and we've gotten some really good referrals from that source. So there's those kinds of things. Part of it for us being 140 people, we're building some of those structures and starting to put some of those things in place that a little bit larger or maybe in a little bit more mature company, I'd say a year from now we're going to be in a different place with some of that, but we're definitely trying really hard to create connections, because I think connections is probably the most important thing for any new hire in the organization. So it's connections to the business, connections to their colleagues. I do love what really resonated for me, obviously, on the buddy thing, right, is there are times a new hire doesn't want to ask their manager a question that they think is kind of a dumb question. So, to create that opportunity, that safe spot to say, hey, I have to file an expense report. I'm not really sure, how do I do that? When am I supposed to do that? I think that's another nice piece. So we'll look to bring that in, and again, we're trying and doing some things that so far have resonated exceptionally well, and we'll continue to refine that. But so that's kind of where we are at Kala.
Okay.
One of the things that we did during COVID that we found very effective was we did a training program where each of the senior management team presented to the organization. We had a Zoom program that was held twice a day on our day where most of our employees are on site. And so what happened was, whether it was the head of process development, whether it was the head of IT talking about scams and what to watch out for. For myself, we talked about how we're putting together our objectives for the year. And so we're 225 employees, so just a hair ahead of where you are. But it helped each of the senior managers to connect with employees. And we did a 6-week program where we each did that. And that helped particularly during COVID, when things felt a little bit chaotic and stretched out, that we were able to bring the organization as a whole together and really focus on where we are in all the different specialties that are under one roof here.
No, it's great. It's great. The only other thing I'd say too is I would urge everybody, and we do a pretty good job of this, but it could even be better. Use video all the time. Like, I think that especially for new people you're bringing on, to be able to look at them look at you, see people, because this is the difference in the world, right? You don't get a chance to actually say hello to your colleagues in the same kind of way. And honestly, it's a little strange, right? You interview these people, you talk with them. Like, I've got an HR person that we've hired. She's been with us now 3 months, never met her face to face. It's kind of odd, right? But we do video calls for every single thing. I don't think if I talk to my team by phone, it might happen twice in a week. Everything else is like we jump on a video call. And we do that with our new people. We make sure that those new connections that we're making for people on the onboarding is also done the same way. And you mentioned earlier, Lorna, about you have videos of your office. You can kind of walk people through that. We did the same thing, and we have found that to be really helpful, because it kind of it's like, we actually do have a place for you, right? Even if it's sort of an outsourced model, there may be a time when they, need to come into home office, and they kind of get an idea of, what does it actually look like to be there? And we've gotten very good feedback around that as well. So I'm glad you had mentioned that earlier too.